If I never failed, I would never be here. And sometimes people think that when you fail something, it's life or death. It's your life has ended. No, your pain has a purpose. You never know what's going to be birthed out of it. The question is, will you accept the challenge and move forward and learn from it, or will you accept defeat and go a different route and turn back? Say it even when you don't feel like it, because at some point it's going to come to light. This is the only time when they say the definition of exams is doing the same thing, expecting different results, but not in the field of when you're doing affirmations, when you're working in faith, you keep saying the same thing, a different result is going to happen. Because at some point, you're going to start believing what you're saying.
That's right.
At some point, you're going to believe what you're saying.
Welcome to the Balance to Excellence Show. I'm your host, Dr. Judy Wright. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Okay, we enjoy your comments, so please make sure you do that as well. And so today, on the Balance to Excellence Show, we're diving into pharmacy and public health and career resilience with Dr. LaQuita Johnson, a powerhouse in the field of pharmacy and healthcare transformation. Dr. LaQuita Johnson is a pharmacist, Naplex Success Strategist, and the founder and CEO of PharmD to RPH, where she equips pharmacists with the tools to pass the Naplex and advance their careers through proven frameworks like Think Like a Pharmacist and the Naplex Play coaching programs. Since 2014, she has been coaching and consulting and helping pharmacists overcome challenges and to thrive. Her career journey spans from working as a staff pharmacist to becoming a clinical prior authorization pharmacist at PBM Company and later stepping into public health, addressing chronic diseases and mental health and maternal health in minority communities. She's also a sought-after keynote speaker and workshop facilitator and focuses on resilience, overcoming adversity, and personal branding. Her research has been featured at NAMI Mississippi Conference and the ASHP Midyear, and she has collaborated with organizations such as the American Heart Association. Dr. Johnson, that was a mouthful. So let me ask.
Like, what are you talking about, me?
That was a mouthful. Well, welcome to the show. Thank you so much. Did
Yes,
I miss
thank you for
anything?
having me.
Did I miss anything?
I mean, no, not yet. Like, I'm still we working on the author. We have one book. We came up with our own playbook and our own. Look at me. It's like we have our own book. We coming out with our math book now for the PharmD
My
RPH.
my goodness.
So they
I'll
say
tell
you
you
come
what.
often, you get 2 books.
The people that I have had on this show, right? Like most people would be like, it's enough to be a doctor or a pharmacist or a nurse. Isn't that enough? The people I have had on this show. Okay, and you did not disappoint. You came with the book. I always wonder who are the people who write these, right? As we're studying for these different, exams, who are the people who write stuff like this, right? So it's great to meet one of you. So you've had a really dynamic career. So how do you describe your work and the mission because we have to do these all the time, right? In like an elevator pitch when there is so much that you do.
Well, to simply put, if you just talk about LaQuita, PharmD to RPH, I help pharmacists pass the Naplex in 6 months or less by shifting their mindset, strategizing their plan, and studying effective for the Naplex exam. That's simply put. When you get into LaQuita, the woman, the doctor, LaQuita, the woman, a woman of audacious faith who dare to be different. That's just simply put.
If anybody doesn't have an elevated pitch, you just heard a masterclass. You just heard a masterclass because she just said her whole thing in a shorter time than I said her, what all she does, right? So you just heard a masterclass. Like get into it because we all need to have elevated pitches, and that was one of them. Right? So what first drew you to pharmacy? We'd love to know your journey. Like, was this always something that you wanted to do?
It is not the one that most people want to hear. It's not the one. I'm just going to tell you. You're like, girl, stop playing. Okay, here's the play. I was 16 years old, working at Wendy's restaurant, being a cashier. And my cousin, I was like, well, she said, I want to be a pharmacist. I said, ooh, what's that? Just literally that. I said, "Oh, what's that?" Had no introduction, never knew, never heard of the profession, anything. And went home, did some research. At the time, I don't think there was computers just really out there, so I probably was at school somewhere. Got the research that I needed. So I was like, oh, at the time, the profession, like, it was great for women. There was like, oh, it's like a doctor, it's half the hours. I mean, half the time to go into school. I was like, oh, that's even better. And I still have a doctor title. Okay. Then it's like the lifestyle balance at the time. Back then, there was like, it was a need for pharmacists that was pouring so much money into the field. I'm hearing about the income, what people are doing outside of pharmacy school, how just all the things like, and I went home and said, Mom, I'm gonna be a pharmacist. I wanted to be a veterinarian. So I was like, I'm gonna be a pharmacist.
So let me just say this, right? At 16, you said you were working in a restaurant?
Yes.
Yes, at 16, working in a restaurant, trying to make some fun money. People aren't necessarily thinking that way, even when other people say that, like a pharmacist. What do you mean? Have you always been that inquisitive? Because you took that and you ran with it. Like, you literally said, let me go look that up. Let me go do this research, because I never heard of that before.
That's me. I would go down a rabbit hole. I would hear something. I'm very inquisitive. I really am. I love to learn, no matter what it is. Like, you're like, oh, okay, well, let me go look this up. Even just then, this platform, within 5 minutes, I would research, like, oh, what's this platform here? I just always am. I really am. And
Yes.
honestly, that's how it landed, because I was in pharmacy school, and this girl I met, she was one of the first people I had met when I went to pharmacy school, and she had started doing branding, and she was talking about branding, how you market yourself. I was like, oh, what's that? Got into that. I started following her, and that's around the time, this is 2015, where the buzz came, where it's like all about blogging and starting your business. And I was already listening to Dr. Eric Thomas. When you want to see his badge,
Okay.
I got to be ready for pharmacy school. Hey, waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, getting studying done. It's all about, like, gotta go. And then I was like, okay. I was like, listen to Dr. Eric Thomas, listen to her. So I found other comedians, like, okay, I got this business bug. But honestly, it just shows you how God ordered your steps. Because if it's like you got an eggs, you got some butter, you got flour, all those things are nasty on their own, but when you put them together, you make something. And honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I was a multifaceted, multi-passionate person. And then I saw this, like, entrepreneur. I was like, oh, that's what my neighbor was, because I always admired my neighbor. She's a hairstylist. She knows how to sing. She is an author. She has put, like, her work, her portrait has been published, and she's currently getting her bachelor's degree, and she has been a police officer. And then she opened a restaurant with her salon. And I was like, I just want to be like, and she's designed clothes. She was like so much. I was like, I want to be like her. I was like, I just love how she just did everything in her heart desire. She just went
all
for
the
it.
pieces that made her. She was like, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do. This is like when I tell people that I DIY, right? And they're like, well, what do you make? I say, I build stuff, I cook stuff, I plant stuff, I'll renovate stuff.
Yes. Yes. I just want to have a light planner for me, for LaQuita. Then I went and bought all this stuff. Listen here, because I'm so you just like me. Oh my gosh, I didn't have this stuff right here. I didn't order these things offline. These are oils. I'm about to make my own body oil.
During the pandemic, I was making my own sugar and salt scrubs. Don't play with the essential oils in it. Don't play.
Yes, yes. I did just harvest about 4 cabbage heads, because I garden as well. And that was really like, this weekend I'm going to experiment, because I'm trying to work on this protein cake, carrot cake. I was like, I just love to create. See,
Yes.
This is great. This is great.
Yes.
I love to create.
Yes.
This is amazing.
If you can harness the different parts of you, and I'm so happy for you that you picked that up early. I didn't pick that up early. I was just gonna be the worker bee. I was like, I'm just gonna be the worker bee. I'm gonna be employed. I'm gonna be employed for decades, and then I'm gonna retire, and that's it. And for anybody that does that, there's nothing wrong with that. But I really honestly did not see myself getting into business. I didn't see it.
Never.
I didn't see it.
When I say on pharmacy school, okay, I was an intern at Walmart pharmacy. And when
Mm-hmm.
they told me a district manager was making can make up to $250,000, I was like, I'm about to work this corporate track, but you're not going to tell me. I'm like, I was ready. I was ready to work. I mean, I understand it's business, but I'm gonna figure it out as I go. But I'm gonna let this main goal of being this pharmacist, where I've been sacrificing for the last 10+ years of my life. We're about to sacrifice on this, so I'm owning. So I went there. I didn't even know, but I tell you, it's something I literally said a couple weeks ago on a live stream. I said, if I never failed in Naplex, I would never be here. If I never failed, I would never be here. And sometimes people think that when you fail something, it's life or death. Your life has ended. No, your pain has a purpose. You never know what's going to be birthed out of it. The question is, will you accept the challenge and move forward and learn from it, or will you accept defeat and go a different route and turn back?
It's funny because I told my husband one day if I didn't have the difficulty I had, because I was out of medical school at one point, and if I didn't have the difficulty I had in that point that I wasn't in, and I made my way back in, but in that point, that's the point that I met my husband. I said, if that didn't happen, we would have never met. I said, we would have, because I was like this. I was like, we would have, mm-mm. And he was like,
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way. I said that was because I was like just school and residency, and that's how I was gonna do it.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
So I understand what you're saying. And even though it's like, who wants to go through the pain, right? The pain can lead to the purpose. The pain can lead to the purpose. So when they say, try to look for the silver lining, and not lying, like what did it teach you? Even if it didn't
Mhm.
lead to quote something big, what did it teach you? What did it teach you about yourself? What did it teach you about your level of strength? What did it teach you?
It teaches you, because if I'm just being honest, it was a faith walk for me. It wasn't because, and that's what I specialize in doing. It's not that you don't know the information. It's where, one, no one has, you have forgotten what you know, how you learn. You have forgotten it, because in those professional schools, you have one teacher teach this way, another teacher this way, and you keep changing methods to that pertaining to that
Mm,
professor, where you miss the whole memo of how you learn.
yes.
So we go back to who is, it's like going back, you go back to what you learn. I mean, how do you learn? Then too, you pass this the shifting of the mind to remind you who you are. You have in the pharmacy school, you seen this information, you graduated. Now how are you gonna apply it? Because the thing is, you are thinking like a student when you should be thinking like a pharmacist to pass the snake class. And that's where I come in. It's the coaching of it. Because when it comes to any kind of boards, in order you pass the board, you shift a little bit. You didn't just go in and and just press it, but like, oh, I hope I got something right. You were really using your clinical brain. You was thinking critically and clinically at a very fast pace. And that's what we do. And oftentimes it's just shifting the mind, just
That is
strategizing the
so
plan.
true. That is so true. And it's kind of like work. Like you may get, when you're getting onboarded, if you get onboarded I always say it's great to be onboarded by more than one person, because you can take a piece from here. When you're onboarded by one person, if that one person ain't right,
Exactly.
then they just passed on the ain't right to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you onboarded with multiple people, you actually can pick and choose. I like this style here for
Yes.
this style here from this, and you may not use any of those styles to the T, but it helps you formulate how you're going to go about it.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I teach. I teach and I really preach that a lot of people, they do not like the community side of pharmacy. That those are your Walgreens, your easy accessible ones, CVS's. They don't like that. But I said that's the most exposed to public. It teaches you so much more than what the clinical you think will do. Because the clinically you only have it's gonna be certain kind of drugs, certain things you deal with. But you have the most randomest things always coming up. You always exposed to new drugs because people always come to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn how to be quick on your toes, because it'd be the randomest things they'll come at you. I'd be like, oh, okay,
Yeah, yeah, true.
yes,
True. Now you've worn plenty of hats in pharmacy. You've been a staff pharmacist, clinical roles, and public health consultant wherever you can learn. And then you teach. You teach people how to approach it. Is the way that I see it, right? But I've heard sometimes that pharmacists, and please correct me if I'm wrong, can feel stuck. in their careers, or they can get bored in it or something like that. Like maybe, and maybe it's because they don't know how to branch out. And the way I see it, physicians often encounter the same thing. Like you go in and you're thinking, the thing that I have is that I see patients, right? And you think that's the only way, right? You don't realize all the different ways you can use this degree that you have. So for those who may be looking to branch out, what advice would you give them? Or maybe they're looking to pivot, branch, whatever. What advice would you give them?
It's so cliche, but I'm going to start what you like. What do you feel like? What's feel good to you, and go from there. Because the reason why people feel stuck is because one is the exact thing you said. When you become healthcare professional, your number one thing you say in all schools interview is, "I want to help people." Okay, so you want to help people, and you're taught your school teacher.
The way you say it is the way we say it. I just want to help. I want to help in the community. I just want to help people.
I
I just
want
want to make it better.
Get better. I want to be the one to make a difference in this world. The healthcare. You have a story, a personal story tied to it. But the thing, but the thing is, when you went to school, those classes, we was like, I don't know why they teaching us this, because we don't need that anyway. We need to know, focus, like, especially for pharmacy, you need to focus on the drugs. You need to focus on the drugs. So why they teach us this? See, those small classes you didn't think important, like you was learning about healthcare, you learn about systems, you will learn about like these collaborative agreements and things of this nature. That's the businesses of the profession, and those are those courses, those things we were talking about. That's how you navigate through the profession, because you thought you should come help people. Then you got to a corporation, a business. They said you got to meet all these metrics. You got to see X amount of patients because we need it's more of the profit. You realize this is a true business, not just you to go live out your passions of wanting to help and take care of people.
Yes.
And once you get that, so now you're in a shock. That shock, then it's like, oh, okay. And then they keep adding on different things, especially if you are in retail. They call it community. They add on different things constantly, different measures. They want you to be all the things in one, and then still meet your numbers. And it's like, how is this even possible? And that's when you meet those extra, that's how you start becoming feeling stuck. Because it's like, this is not what I signed up for. I want to help people. I want to care. I want to do this. And so how you get unstuck? Go back to why you want to be a pharmacist. Go back to how you said how you want to help people. Because if the truth be told, in my 4th year of pharmacy school, I realized I did not want to be a pharmacist. What I truly loved was public health, because how I wanted to help people was not through giving them medicine to treat them. I want to prevent the problem.
You better say that. You better say that, because that became, when I was seeing patients, I was like, I don't want to give all of these medications. And being that, I mean, look, you have a garden and you hail from the South. So you gotta understand what I'm saying. Yes, I'm from the Northeast. My family is originally from Jamaica. Okay? There's a lot in making sure that you make teas from things that you planted and whatever have you. Like my mom will be like, yeah, I was having some neck pain and I rubbed some castor oil that I boiled some ginger in on the back of my, and and I'm like, does it feel better, Mom?
Exactly.
And she says yes, and I said okay. You know,
Yeah.
my thing was, especially with the medications, you know, when I would hear a new medication, brand new medication came out, and there was a time where they would just pop them up on the screen in commercials and say nothing about it,
Nothing.
except ask your doctor about.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And that's always your doctor or your local pharmacist about, and it's like,
Like they didn't even tell you in the commercial what it was for, but now these people are coming and asking me about this or that. So there was, you know, and I'm like, I'm the kind of person, can it be out for a little while so we could kind of see how people are interacting before I start prescribing it? But even better, can we do something lifestyle wise to try to hold back off of this if we can, you know? So I feel you on that. It became, how can we do this to prevent? Because wasn't prevention supposed to be the first thing? Like, couldn't
it's supposed to be, but now it's treating. And if I'm honest, a lot of times we see now when it comes to provider patient relationships, all you do is go to the doctor and say, hi, I feel this way. There's a medication for this. There's a medication for that. For instance, just I remember I had a patient, was the doctor prescribed hycosamine, said she had GI issues. Okay. But I called, I was like, she'd had a problem with hycosamine cost so much. She was like, she's gonna send an alternative. And it had fear set and hycosamine. So she said she realized that the hycosamine, she was like, well, she's gonna send in just prescribe her naproxen. I was like, ma'am, she got GI issues. If she has GI issues, you're going to give her naproxen. That's a big side effect. Naproxen says they hurt the GI. So if she got GI issues, why are you going to give her prescribe some naproxen? And the patient just got dispensed diclofenac. So it's the same. It's the same clinic. It's like, are y'all communicating? Are we looking at the chart notes? What are we doing? And this is how I say, and this is show listeners too. This is what a pharmacist does. Things like this, we catch stuff like this, where it's not just putting pills about me. Is what's been prescribed to this patient the best thing for this patient? Yeah. It's things like this we're catching, because we all have a place in making sure things are right. That's what I'm saying, like stuff like that. And it's, again, when you feel like that unstuck, that whole back to your crush about being unstuck, is going back to what you love. Because when I realized I want to prevent the problem, I was like, oh, public health is what I should have been doing. And I started researching, going down the whole public health. Went down, I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely it. It's definitely public health. And I knew when I got my master's in public health, I knew that I didn't want a concentration, because I love healthcare programming, that promotion program. That's what I do. I kind of fell in love with environmental health, not even knowing. I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. I'm a pharmacist, so I love math. The biostatistics look interesting to me. So I want a general degree, where it's a general public health, because I had many passions. I want to understand the six disciplines, or the missions of public health. And how you get truly unstuck is, honestly, why did you join a profession? Why did you decide you want to join this profession? And then, two, what do you have right now that can motivate to get you out? What is the number one factor? Because it has to be more than, I'm sick of retail and the demands. Yeah. Because a lot of times people just say, oh, I want to go to hospital because they have more predictable hours. But what does that look like? What does that feel like? Do you want some patient? Because if I'm honest, doing the clinical prioritization, everyone knows about prioritization. Like, oh, your doctor got to do a prioritization. I was the one behind the scenes approving those prioritizations. And I realized, I was like, whoever come with this 8 to 5 thing, that's not my thing. That's not my jam. I had to working it. That's not my jam. So I worked it, but it's like, and also too, it's like, it's good enough with a cubicle, but I need just a little patient interaction. It's just so by myself, no interaction with no one.
No interaction.
It's no like interaction. A little, but it's not too much. Not retail that way every day. I'm y'all on your fucking call, but hey, I want a little bit of interaction.
Right.
And then I thought I was going to where we can fix the problem, and I was getting contract and stuff. I've done some contracts with government, but I realized you just got no corporate jargon and get to stay here. They're not trying. They're here to collect a check and do the corporate jargon. That's all. You play the politics of corporate. Nobody's here really preventing. And everybody want to look good. So it goes to like how you get unstuck and how you branch yourself off. One, go back to what you want to do. And what does it really like? And now when I ask the question, what does helping people really look like? How do I really want to help people? How do you want to help people?
Absolutely. Then you're going to start. I love that, because when I teach about burnout, and when people feel stuck like that, that's where they start to get really burned out, because they start to feel caged. They start to feel like they don't have control of their own situation. And that's when they start to feel burnt out. So I love that you say that, because in my flame framework, that very first flame, F, find your why. You got to go back to your why, right? And let it ground you. You have to go back to that. And I always say, and here's the kicker, if you can't find your why, that might be indicative of something. If you can't, right, find that why, like you just can't see it, then that may be indicative of the need for a change. And that's okay too.
Then that's totally okay. And it's the hardest thing to comprehend, and to say, I invested so much. I have so much time, so much money, so many sacrifices I've done, but you're not living. But what if it looks like you do 10 years of just doing whatever, but then you go 1 year doing this 1 month, and you start living, you be like, oh,
You start
I should do that.
living. You start living. You're like, well, I invested so much. So then the answer, and trust me, I've been there. I've been there. Okay. Right. And when you're in it, sometimes you can't see it, but you gotta say to yourself, so you invested so much. So the answer, and you're unhappy. So the answer is to stay and invest more and be more unhappy.
Exactly. Because
But I've been there. No judgment, y'all. Trust me.
no problem. When again, my 4th year of pharmacy school, I wanted to quit. And they said, you're so close, continue. And I was like,
Hmm.
this is just not how I see it. This is
Yeah.
not how I see my life and how I just don't see it. And then they asked the question, so what are you gonna do after graduation? And I said, and I just told I said, at this current time, I do not know. But I do know I will be helping people because wherever pharmacists are, wherever people or pharmacists is needed, so I'll be there. But I don't know at this point. And I just kept that mentality. I do not know. And it's okay not to know. And I think that's the thing, because we kind of become these perfectionists, and
Yeah.
we seeking perfection, something that does not even exist. But
Yes.
we try to seek it all the time.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And one of the things you said I wanted to point out, because I think a lot of times, most of the time, we see pharmacists in pharmacies, right? There are pharmacists everywhere. They're in the hospitals. We had another pharmacist, Dr. Jamie Johnson Hardy, on a previous episode. She was talking about how she came about it because she was at her grandmother's bedside when her grandmother was ill, and a pharmacist who was there rounding with the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't even remember pharmacist rounding when I was going on rounds, right? And then that pharmacist came back and spoke to her. At that point, she was heading her way toward medical school.
Mm-hmm.
She said that woman talking to her made her flip her whole script.
Yes.
Okay, it made her. So I want to say that we often see, and for years we saw pharmacists in pharmacies. And to be honest, I bet you money everybody was thinking a pharmacist's job is to dole out this medication. And that's all you guys
Put
do.
pills in
But
the
you're
bottle.
always doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes, right? People see you more now because we have pharmacists giving the vaccinations and really teaching about side effects to people.
Yes.
And so there are more things being done, bringing them out into the forefront. But still, I think a lot of people still think of, yeah, well, they give you the medication. That's it. They dole out the medication, right? So much more.
Yes, it's so much more. And of course, you have the hospital pharmacists, like you said. You have the
Mhm.
inpatient, outpatient ones that do dispensing medicine, like you in community pharmacy for outpatient, but inpatient delivering bedside, making sure all the things that the doctor orders is right. You have that. That's typically people see the next step up. You also have them in clinics. I absolutely love the VA. That is one organization that this Veteran Affairs. I mean, this is the Veteran
Mhm.
Affairs. Like, they absolutely use pharmacists for phenomenal reasons. You have pharmacist-led clinics for the comorbidities, the regular chronic conditions like diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension. They run warfarin clinics. They also do the medication therapy management. They do the rounds. Like, it's just pharmacy-led clinics that focus on different disease states that you do not see. They absolutely have an amazing usage of pharmacists. But also, you have too now pharmacists coming more in medical writing. They're coming more in the government, and the type of.
Yes.
And here's the escape, and here's a tidbit, because I help pharmacists pass in their place, but as look, Dr. Wright read, we do personal branding. Here's a big secret: majority of jobs that a pharmacist in, especially in the government, does not have a pharmacist title. And that's where they don't have pharmacist titles. I think I was when I was working, they get a percentage, and it was like only like 4% that actually have the pharmacist title. There are many pharmacists that work for the government. They don't work on the government of the pharmacist title.
No way.
Yes, way. That's the caveat, and that's how you get to those positions, because you do not have a form. They use your PharmD and your knowledge of the medications. Pharmaceutical companies love us. We know the medication. We know how to talk the language to go sell it to the doctors. We know the language.
Right.
We know it. Like, think about you. You was in med school. Like, they always had the pharmaceuticals come. Like, you had the free dinners. You had like
Yes. Girl, the free dinners.
exactly. You like, I want for the free meal. That was bad enough. Oh, just that was just enough. Just then.
Right.
Because we got to
Wow.
talk the talk. We can tell you exactly. We talk the language of doctors because we have the knowledge base, and we can go and say this patient, this medication, better this patient's improvement in X condition by such and such percentage, and we get the numbers because we understand it. We can talk it. We are the best salesperson for the doctor. I mean,
Yeah,
for the
because you
pharmaceutical.
understood it.
We understand. We understand how it's working on. So we can talk to you. We can talk to you on the medical language, like the physiology, the pathophysiology of the disease, taken to how it's actually working, how it's improved the quality of life. Yes, and then throw you a kickback at the back of it. That's what we.
I'm sitting here thinking about it. I just thought, I know because I have had a few colleagues, physicians who, if they're really good or they specialize, sometimes some of the farm companies would ask them if they're willing, and they got paid. I mean,
you get good
but
money.
but honestly, I thought the grand bulk of them were salespeople that just got trained in the knowledge of that particular medication.
Sometimes it's this profession called medical science liaisons as well.
Yes.
And how they can help, they can learn about a drug, and a lot of times there are pharmacists inside those positions.
Mm-hmm.
That's another.
Makes sense. It makes sense because at least they really know what they're talking about.
And then you go into the. I'm sorry.
No, I'm saying we're not making it up as you go along. Like, really, if the doctor asks a question, you really know your stuff, like, and know what to show them and how to talk to them about it. Yeah.
Yes, and you got research as well. Because I had I had a client come in. She wanted to pass the Naplex, but honestly, she never passed. Guess what? She has a master in research. She put a resume out there, got hired with 50K sign on bonus, 6 figures. She's in research. She don't have to. And I think that's the luxury of our profession, where you don't have to become a registered pharmacist. The only way you become a registered pharmacist is always say RPH, because you graduate with a PharmD. But to get to the RPH, you have to pass the NAPLEX. And then the PharmD can take you far too. You don't have to have a NAPLEX.
I love when the smart people that I interview segue right into it for me, because I really was going to ask you, what's the name? Like, what part is that? Like, what does it get you to? So the RPH is registered pharmacist.
Registered pharmacist.
So this is like when we say board certified. Is that what that's like?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It's board certified. So when you graduate from pharmacy school, you get your doctor of pharmacy, also abbreviated as PharmD. And that's where, hence the company PharmD to RPH is birthed at, because we lay in the line of, in order to get the RPH, you have to pass the NAPLEX, our board exam. That's the North American Pharmacist Licensure Exam. Once you pass that, you become a registered pharmacist. You still have to take another test for your state. Once you do that, you're a registered pharmacist. You're able to practice in that state, unless you every state has its own exam, so you have to take their own law exam. But for the general, just NAPLEX, you can practice through that. So that's how we. But with the PharmD, you can go do fellowships with just a PharmD. You don't have to have any attorney. You just do a PharmD from there, and you can get into different companies just with a PharmD, like medical science liaison. People just have PharmDs. Research professors, just a PharmD. You might have some kind of education degree or something like that. And a lot of times, I think people get into medical writing. I had a client, she got into medical writing with her PharmD. So the one writing textbooks, she does that.
I love it. I love it because it really is difficult. I often say, 16 is still young. I often say that the grand bulk of us didn't just turn around literally in our adulthood and say, we're going to be a doctor or a pharmacist, or we did stuff for years to gear toward it. So I always say, no, it's not just the 4 years of medical school and maybe the 3, 4, or 5 years of residency and then fellowship, or, however many years of pharmacy school. It's not just that, there's college because you were doing things to get in.
Exactly.
There's high school because you had to get into a good college program, and like, there's all those years. So when the time comes and you're like, this is not what I thought it was going
to be. It's not what I thought it's going to be. And guess what we finna do? We finna go back to high school, get that file. We finna go back to college. What organization was volunteering? Were we in the sororities or anything? What did we did in our school that we love doing? We're gonna get that butter. We're gonna add that flour. We're gonna add some more,
exactly.
add some brown sugar. And you was like, "Yeah, farm school. Okay, then what can I make of all of this?" That's what happened.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so hard for some people. So I love the conversation that we're having because you can still find your why. It just may not look exactly how you envisioned it, but the best laid plans. That was, your limited, that may have been your limited vision of it.
Yes, it's just being totally transparent. It took a while for me to just really hone in of saying that I am a Naplex coach, because the thing is, and I get it, I probably make sure I say Naplex. It's either or. I go interchange because I want to make sure I hit all the people who
Look,
need to know the name of the brand.
transparency, did I not have to ask? It's like, is it Naplex? Is it Naplex? So we're going to go with both. Okay, potato, tomato, tomato. Let's go.
Yes, yes. And with this, because I started the business and I knew it was needed, but I was calling myself a coach but acting like a tutor. And I was like, okay, acting like a high paid tutor and trying to teach everything. And then the client said, Doctor, could we need videos? Because everybody got videos. Then I start recording videos. And I was like, this don't feel right. It was a force to make myself record these videos, teaching you stuff. I was like, because it's not how I envision, it's not my being, it's not what I do. My zone of genius is bringing the information out of you and helping you apply it to the question, to the problem. Not me sitting back like a preacher on like a preacher on Sunday morning. You sit in the congregation, you sitting there listening. This is
Right,
this open discussion. We're gonna have
right.
a conversation.
It's not teaching a class. It's helping you zone in, so that you're not just learning, you're applying. But it's
Fine.
not about just teaching it because a lot of people, like you said, know the information. Now, how can they bring it out of themselves and apply it? And, to these many questions and these tests that you have to go
It's
through.
many questions, but I started and I was like, LaQuita, stay in your gift of application.
Mm.
And
Mm.
accountability. Because it's application accountability and it's all about consistency. You gotta be consistent, you gotta be constantly consistent, casting down those fears.
Yeah.
And you gotta it's like it's a holistic approach to learning what you never thought you needed. I even had recently
That
I
is
had
so good.
a past client come speak to the current clients in the code and Naplex cohort. She said, "Did Dr. LaQuita help y'all make y'all do this declaration?" She was like, "Yes." She's like, she said, "I said to myself, why I need to do this? I want to learn about pharmacy and pass this in. Why I need to learn about this? Because your mindset. It's your mind.
It's your mindset.
It's your
It's
mind.
your mindset.
You can talk your way in and out of something." But I understood my application, my approach, and that's the transparency came because I was like, LaQuita, that's not what you do. You don't teach people as if they never went to pharmacy school. You teach them how to you call them to excellence. You remind them who they are, and you call them to rise to the occasion who they're called to be. That's where I line. That's where I land in who you are called to be. You went to pharmacy school. You want to be this best medication expert. I'm going to bring that out. I'm gonna bring out that greatness that's inside of you. I had to
That's
learn
really
that.
good, Dr. LaQuita. That's very good. That's
Thank
very
you.
good.
Thank you.
Now, resilience, because we're gonna go back to these tests, because these tests, I always tell people these tests need resilience, and it also needs for you to have some stamina just to sit down. Because if people knew how many hours we sit down just to take the test,
Yes.
right? We're not
Just
even talking
take
about
it.
the studying hours, just to sit down and take the test for hours.
Hour.
Right? But resilience is a big theme of what you do, right? So pharmacy, like medicine, it can be intense and demanding. Like, can you give us a couple of key strategies that you teach pharmacists on how to be resilient and how not to get burnt out, right? Because resilience is very much needed. Like you said, you went through these years and it wasn't easy. And then you got to year 4 and you were like, wait a minute,
Mm-hmm.
you know but it takes that level of resilience still to push forward. So what strategies or what do you tell your pharmacy clients?
One, keep the why. Keep the why in front of you at all times. Keep the why in front of you, and and with the why, don't make it all about you. Because if you make it about
Mm,
you, you'll quit. Because when we think about those limited beliefs, I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. I'm going to fail again. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do this.
Or even convince ourselves, I don't want to anymore.
I don't want to anymore.
I don't like it no more.
I don't like it.
Right?
I don't like it. And it's
This don't feel good, so I don't like it, so I don't need to keep doing it.
and you pick your why and don't make it about you, because every single thing we just stated, it started with I. But who sacrificed for you? Who prayers you walking on? Who sacrificed you to get to where you are? Who paid for your tuition? Who made sure you had A to Z? Because no matter what you say, oh, I had by myself. No, somebody sacrificed for you to get to this point. You owe those people who sacrificed to you, because they had hope and pour hope into you, because they believe in you. They want you to succeed. Think about those people who help you and you go and move on. Some of you got kids. Some of you have spouses. Some of you have family members. Some of you have where you just want to, just being honest, was to retire my mom. That was my whole thing about pharmacy school. I didn't make it about me. I just want to retire my mom. So every time I got a time, I didn't want to study in farm. I want to retire my mom. I focus on the why. You always go back to the why. That's the first of some resilience. But sometimes we don't have that. Sometimes life has life so much where we feel so empty and we don't have anything to offer give. And my next breath is to constantly say this to yourself. And this is a mantra. And that's the second thing of affirmations. It's going to be your best bet. Say it even when you don't feel like it, because at some point it's going to come to life. This is the only time when they say the definition of Xanth is doing the same thing, expecting different result, but not in the field of when you're doing affirmations, when you're working in faith, you keep saying the same thing, a different result is going to happen. Because at some point you're going to start believing what you're saying.
That's right.
At some point, you're going to believe what you're saying.
And what you say and also how you say it matters, right? Yes. How you say, what, they say death and life lives in the tongue, right? But even if you're not saying it out loud, if you keep thinking the same thing, it can come to pass. And so I so agree with you. When we're doing our affirmations, I also tell people, try to keep as much as possible any negative words, even if the premise of what you're saying is not a negative.
Yes.
The negative word, because somehow we latch to negative more, and our brain will latch to that negative word, even though the premise of what you're saying is overall positive.
Yes. You have those words. Those words matter, because the quote, can't think of the author, but it says that your thoughts become words. Your words become actions. Your actions build your character. Your character is something that defines your destiny. But all that, your destiny is defined by that thought. We started with thoughts. Your destiny is defined by that thought. Your thought, we gotta speak things, because sometimes it's a lot. It's like, I can't speak. And I go a little further and I just say this. Point of resilience, if you still got breath in your body today, the world still needs you. And in the end of the day, even though you may feel like crap and you feel like I don't have anything, the fact you got breath in your body today, the world still needs you. Your job has not been finished. You have not done what you needed to do. It's time to go do.
That is excellent.
That's resilience. And you say, Dr. LaQuita, I can't do nothing else. Okay. You woke up this morning. Did you get out of bed? We're going to go and do the 3 things. Did you brush your teeth this morning? Did you wash your face? Did you take a bath? Let's start there. Let's focus on these 3 things, and then you add on the 4th for making your bed up. But sometimes when life hits, those 3 things are the hardest things to do, and we want to focus on those 3 things. So I want to hit different levels of how resilience can come. Resilience can come just a simple thing of knowing that, okay, I'm alive today. Let me do the basic things. Take care of the basic needs. Because a lot of times, and the other, I also add a 4th one on for building resilience and how you keep resilience. Don't forget that you are human. You are human.
Yeah. You are human.
Don't forget you are human. You're not a robot.
You are human.
You have to rest.
And unfortunately, and I'm going to say it, even if they didn't say it out loud, I know in medical school, you're almost trained to be a robot.
Same with pharmacists. You've been trained to be a robot. And let you know, because you're seeking, think about this. Majority of the times the people I deal, they deal with perfectionists, their perfectionism. You're seeking, there is no such thing as perfection. Everything got 99.7, 99.9. To be perfection, you have to have a 100%. Every test got a 99.999.7.
Right.
Always got room for error. You are literally chasing something that you can never get. It's not real.
Right.
Perfection is 100%. It's not real and free. We have to free ourselves of that. That's the things I tell my
Absolutely.
clients, like the simplest things, because no matter how good of a coach I am, no matter how I can see the best for you, until you believe and see for yourself, my job can never get started. And I love
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to pivot a little bit because I really, before we run out of time, because there's so much that you do that we can talk about, but this is what I want to talk about.
Okay.
It is personal branding in healthcare. Let's talk about that. And I'm going to tell you because for me, the concept, you people hear personal branding, we think about the people on the television and the this and the that, and or the people who have their own businesses. And it's only the last few years that it's dawned on me, or I realized, I'm sure I heard it somewhere,
Mhm.
that we all
Uh,
should be a personal brand.
We all.
And it was like, all should be so you talk about personal branding and career growth, and pharmacists and physicians often don't think about this seriously, except for some of them that have their businesses, or they might be on YouTube. Most do not think about that. They get up, they go to work, and they just do it over and over again as a cycle.
But let's stay there. Let's stay
Right.
there because that's personal branding. That's branding is the definition of branding and how I define branding is what do people say about you when you are not in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So your personal brand, you go to work every day. Do you show up on time? Do you show up on time when you go to work? Do you execute? Do you perform? Do you do the job that's asked of you to do? That's branding. Do you go above and beyond? Because that's the point of personal branding. Because the branding is everybody got so such and such late, but guess what? The brand may be that's that person brand,
That
but
they're always late.
they're always late. That's the reputation. It's the brand.
Whew.
That's
So
the
you may be building a personal brand that you may not really want to be building.
exactly.
Okay, see, we're gonna have another.
That's the
You
brand, right?
out here building something that you did not,
You
because you weren't
nasty
even
to your
thinking about a
colleague.
personal brand.
You so busy getting to the top that it's the crabs and barrel mentality. And you biting people and knocking them left and right. That's the brand that you have. That you are
Mm.
opportunist. That's your brand. That's the brand people say when you're
Mm.
not in the room. It's a brand. I love coming to see Dr. Wright. She gives me so much advice. She truly cares. That's your brand. A doctor that cares and see me as me. That is our brand. That reputation is your brand. And the thing is something you created, not what someone gave you. It's all about your actions and how you create it. And that's the thing that we miss when it comes just that's the simplest form of personal branding there. How we showing up every day at our job.
But
And
the
then
key is to realize you were doing it. So you might want to take control of what you're doing, because you weren't even thinking about that. And the whole time you've been building a brand. Now, what kind of brand did you want to build?
exactly.
The real, ooh, wee. Honestly, like, I didn't even think about it like that,
That's the
right?
brand.
That regardless, we out here building brands. What do you want your brand to look like, though?
Because the brand
You
is
just gonna leave it to the wind?
leave it to the wind. How you coming up slouching in your clothes? You're not dressing like that's the brand we have. That you are branding yourself. It's then people get into talk the colors, and we can get into that part. And that's more that's business side. But just personal branding, you as a person, when people see you interact with you, what words did you get?
Right.
How did you feel? Was the three things that came to mind when they after interacting with her or him? That's your brand.
That's your brand.
Well, how do you
And I
want
love
people to
how you
see?
just said that, because we're gonna go back to that for a little bit
Okay.
about the colors and the stuff. Because for years, so one, when I was in medical school, I wanted to get locks, and my sister said, "Don't do it.
Same.
Get out of medical school first, and then get your locks." Right.
Yeah.
So I did. I used to have locks. I had it for years, right? But over the years, without realizing it, I conformed to a certain level of dress, especially when I entered corporate. Okay. Now, when I was applying for medical school, my mom had all my suits made, and everybody was walking in black suits, and they were walking in blue suits, and Judy was walking in a turquoise suit, and she was walking and because I like color. And somewhere along the line, I let that go. So I would be in black, maybe a dark brown, as this and it's just in the last couple of years, not few, couple, year and a half. I'm going to talk on stages. I am all the colors. Like one of my favorite suits has like 5, 6 different colors in it.
Yes, because you are
Because
your authentic self.
yes,
And that's how you thrive in that. You
yes.
thrive. You show up as
And you
you.
start to feel like this is me.
Yes, this is me. I'm showing up as myself. And that tells me you are a vibrant person. You full of joy. You like life. Like I want to show up. This is my style and I love it. And when you come, and I bet when people meet you, you're so energetic, you're so warm, you're so full with joy,
Yeah.
just based off your
So
outfit.
even that, we tell ourselves we have to be this way and conform to the nth degree, right? But not realizing that we may be pulling stuff out of our own self and our own energy in doing that.
Yes, this shirt, that my exact words for the colors. I was like, okay, what we gonna wear? We want to wear something that looks polished, but we want to also show like a sense of style, because we can't just be plain Jane pants. Like let's do the pattern with the black. That's like a little
Yes,
chic, a little something. You talk with elegance and poise, and that will flow.
yes,
Very
yes,
intentional. And that's the thing too, like with branding colors. I realized I got into makeup, and I started experimenting with color, and I realized that red, when I wear red lipstick, I just love how I feel in it. And then not realizing too that my mom's telling my story where she said she's like, oh, you remember your grandmother? My grandmother wore red all the time. That was her color.
mm.
I didn't even know
Yeah,
that she
it took me years. That's relatively few years now too. Relatively new for me because red just felt like I know nobody said to me.
risque.
They kind of implied it. It
Uh-huh.
just felt like
It's
Jezebel colors.
Jezebel spirits.
But now I'm just like, where my red lipstick at? Like, you know what? How many shades of red could you have, girl? Like,
Have so many. Look at me. So we're gonna do the Mac confidence today.
right? This is so good. This is so very good. So I'm going to ask you like 2 last questions, but before I do that, if you're still here with us, thank you so much. Please subscribe, like, share, comment. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? We welcome you here, okay? And we welcome your energy here with us. I'm glad to have you. So, Dr. LaQuita, okay, for pharmacy students or new graduates or even people who are that 16-year-old who is thinking about the possibility of going into pharmacy, entering the field, what's one piece of advice you'd give them?
I was like, don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't ask me that. Don't ask me that. Don't ask me that. Don't ask me.
She's like, don't do this.
Just being honest. Being as humble, appreciative. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What is that thing? And this is for any adult as well who decide want to go to pharmacy school. What is the thing that burns you up to say, I want to do this? What's the thing you started doing? No one adult said, don't do that. What was that thing? And then if you say, I want to help people, how do you want to help? Do you want to treat something? You want them to know about their medicine? Do you want to prevent something? Do you want to heal them? Be in a part of the journey? What part of a person is sick before they well, then turn sick to healing again? What does that look like? What part of the process you think you want to be in? And go with that. If you consider pharmacy, be prepared for I end this with every single newsletter, YouTube video, and live. Pharmacy is only limited if you are. It's only limited if you are, and that's my best advice to any profession, if I'm honest. It's only limited if you are. So with pharmacy, you can do many great things besides learn about drugs and practice and teach them. But how do you want to show up? How do you want to help people? And does it align with that person that said, I want to do this, and someone said, don't do that? And that's how you have that's how you find your life purpose. That's how you find your calling. That's how you find, because I will be a fool to say that being a pharmacist is so fulfilling. But I learned it's only limited. It was limited because I was, when I decided. And I'm actually going to revamp my podcast this year. I had a podcast called PharmD Unscripted. And we'll go through different ways of how pharmacists are thinking out the box. But now we even shifted up. LaQuita has lived a life of a PharmD Unscripted. Now we're coming from that perspective.
Yes. So you are on the Balance to Excellence show. And I would like to know, and be completely honest as you have throughout this entire episode, what does balance look like for Dr. LaQuita? And if Dr. LaQuita doesn't believe in balance, she can say that too. But what does balance look like for Dr. LaQuita?
Alignment to your highest self. Balance itself is alignment, because I feel like we're never truly balanced, and it's very rare. So when a powerful woman told me this, it's very rare when your mind and your heart agree on something, and in that moment, that's when you found it. That's true balance, when your heart and mind agree on something, but that's very rare.
You just gotta grab that. In that moment, you gotta grab it. You gotta stay aware so that you can.
You got to grab. It's very, very rare when your heart and your mind align with something, and in that moment, it does. That's true balance. So you can get aligned, and truly aligned. A balance to this means you align with your most highest self, because excellence is your most highest self, not perfection. Because we're always growing, we're always changing, we're always evolving and pivoting. But truly, balance and excellence means to me is when you're aligned to your most highest self. You have reached alignment.
This has been an incredible conversation. Incredible. Where can people connect with you, Dr. LaQuita?
You can LaQuitaJohnson.com, at Dr. LaQuita J on all platforms. We live on YouTube and LinkedIn, but we also migrating to, we on TikTok. We're gonna be more consistent on TikTok. But we typically live on YouTube and LinkedIn. We on Instagram. We're on Facebook. But if you ask where I live at, my top two is gonna be LinkedIn and YouTube. LaQuitaJohnson.com. We always have events coming up. For those who are passing the Naplex exam is actually changing May 1st. So we're actually doing a clinical case boot camp the end of the month, March 29th. So yes, you can join us there. Sign to our newsletter, PharmD Moving Forward newsletter. It's on our website, LaQuita Johnson. If you do LaQuitaJohnson.com/connect, and it's literally my name on the screen, .com/connect. You can find all the things that we're offering, what we have, because they're typically going to have that buttons of where we're actually doing, how you connect with us even further.
That is wonderful. Don't hesitate. I actually hope we have some students or some recent grads that are watching that know that they need your help, because I know what it's like to have to sit down for these tests. It's not a game, not a joke. So if you don't live in your, I don't want people to know, now forget about all that.
Don't live in that. Yes.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you again next time on Balance to Excellence Show. Bye.
Thank you for having me.